The state is famous for its extraterrestrial phenomena, UFO sightings, bizarre occurrences in the sky. And I found some folks who know all about it.
MUFON stands for the Mutual UFO Network. It is a worldwide organization. People that see things flying across the sky, they know it's not an airplane, they know it's not a drone, they know it's not a satellite. They'll report that into MUFON. We have a certified field investigator that will then go out and investigate that sighting, talk to the witness, find out what we can, and come to some kind of a conclusion on what it is.
Let's say they are aliens and they come all the way from planet Xenon, 20,000 light years away. They get within a mile of the Earth's crust. Why not just go that extra distance, open up the door and say, hey guys, what's up?
Well, there's a lot to be considered by doing that. You have to really stop and think about what this would do to human philosophy about who we are, where we came from,
right?
Our religions, our governments. There's just so much to think about. A very irresponsible thing to do would be just to land and say, take me to your leader.
Right.
Okay.
What would those aliens say? One man claims to know.
Hey man, it's me. I was taken at aliens. Imagine having to make that phone call. Who would you call? Would they believe you? What if the shoe was on the other foot and your best friend called to tell you he was abducted? Would you believe him?
In this small town restaurant, I meet the dude who had that conversation. This is Travis Walton, the world's most famous UFO abductee. The story he's about to tell me will blow your mind. I'm Jonathan Legg on a road less traveled adventure in the mysterious state of Arizona. I visited Biosphere 2 outside of Tucson, a self-contained mini world that replicates our planet. A trip to Meteor Crater suggests that we might need to build these biospheres on Mars to save our race if the big one comes. But Arizona gets more than just rocks from space. The Mutual UFO Network has cataloged a heap of strange occurrences, but none stranger than the story I'm about to hear from this man.
Travis, you came to just down the road here from your experience.
Yeah.
And you come to consciousness, and what do you remember?
Well, I woke up and it was cold out there, and I came pretty clear-headed immediately, but there was a light above me, and I looked to see where that light was coming from, but it went off just as I shifted my gaze in that direction. But I could see the bottom of this craft in the dark, hovering there for just a second before it shot up into the sky.
Travis Walton claims he was abducted by aliens while clearing brush in the forest. He was with a team who all support his story.
Now, did you always feel like, I know what happened, I was abducted, or did you go through a period of time where you thought, am I crazy? Did I consume some weird mushroom in the forest? Or?
Well, before I had any contact with my crewmates, the sheriff was putting out this theory that the crew might have slipped me drugs or hit me over the head or something and caused some kind of delusion. But once I found out that they had seen what I'd seen, then there was no doubt. I had medical tests that proved there were no drugs in my body.
And I've talked to the folks around town, they say not one of you in your group has ever changed your story. You've passed multiple polygraphs.
Yeah. I've passed 5 tests from 3 different examiners.
Travis agrees to take me to the spot of his abduction, deep in the forest.
So the craft was actually right over here?
Yeah, like the crest of the ridge.
Did you crept up and you kind of crouched down to get a look at what was going on?
Yeah, well, it was up at an angle like this, and those guys were getting really anxious and screaming at me and everything. And then when it suddenly got louder and started to move, I jumped for cover, and the only cover was this log that was sticking up there, and I got down behind the log, and then when I stood up to run back, bam, that's when it hit me.
Do you remember that blast as the spaceship took off?
No, I just felt this numbing shock. And
Next thing you know, you wake up, you're on the ship.
yeah,
Travis goes on to show me strange growth rings on the trees around the UFO site.
You're saying all the trees that surround this area where the craft were, on the area facing the craft, the growth rings are thicker
yeah,
in that particular year.
yeah.
So I just dropped Travis off. I don't know, what do you guys think? I mean, on one hand, I'm not much of a UFO guy. I always thought that if aliens visited the Earth, we would all know it. Headline news. On the other hand, science is discovering new things every day. We're still discovering new species on Earth. You've got dark matter, gravitational fields, not to mention crazy theories like the multiverse, the idea that we could all be in some computer simulation.
If Travis is lying, he's carried this spectacular tale for decades. Either way, it's a story that's brought tourism and mystery to Arizona. But maybe Travis and the folks at MUFON are onto something, just not exactly what they thought. This is A-Mart, the world's largest aircraft parking lot and spare parts storage.
I've never seen a facility like this before. How did this come to be?
Yeah, well, you're right. We are pretty unique. We're probably the third or fourth largest museum of its type in the world, and certainly the second most diverse after the Smithsonian.
Scott walks me over to perhaps the most famous UFO of all time, a spy plane which can literally fly faster than a bullet.
Back in the day then, when people looked up in the sky and they saw something, they could have been looking at this.
Not likely this, more likely this. But this drone here was a bit of a failed program. So by the late 60s, they weren't in operation anymore. But these guys soldiered on well into the 1990s. So they were all over the planet, all over the place, doing all sorts of things. So this is your bad boy here.
The Blackbird right there.
Yeah.
That would have been the main culprit.
Yeah.
And more unidentified objects are populating the skies tonight.
Would you say there's a whole array of planes in operation right now that the public has no idea about?
Oh yeah, oh definitely. Yep. NASA has many X programs going on, the US Air Force, other air forces around the world. There's commercial programs under development. Yeah, secrecy is the watchword to protect your investment and protect your advantage for whatever your objective is.
If you were to take a gander, would you say 10, 50, 100?
Yeah, I would, it's probably fair to say there's probably 24 secret programs going on, at least around this country, and probably a similar number around the world with other countries.
So if you see a mysterious object in the sky, you're probably looking at one of those.
You probably are.
Perhaps everything seen by Travis and the MUFON crew is in this facility, or one day will be.